Hello and welcome, I'm Peasant. Today we're going to be looking at a mid-difficulty over-explain. Thanks so much for the suggestion. Someone in a Twitch chat. Sorry, I must have missed that. I wanted to credit you, but I've lost it. So here we are, Prussia 3, so difficulty 6, somewhere in the middle. And we're going to go with Ocean. And it's going to be an over-explain, but not a 0 difficulty, so it should be slightly harder. Prussia is great when you're first bumping the difficulty because it doesn't really add any rules to remember. All you've got to remember to do when you're playing physically is add a town in a land without a town in the escalation. Pretty easy. A lot of the other adversaries are certainly trickier. So we are playing as Ocean, and we initially have to make a decision about where we put our starting presence. So I like to put my starting presence in with a guaranteed town drown as Ocean. So there is and because we're against Prussia, they start with this extra town, thanks to this here. So, I mean, you could make a case for going up here, and it isn't over-explained, but the higher difficulty means that I'm gonna try not to belabor the explain. So we're gonna go in here with our guaranteed town drown. Of course, as Ocean, we will be drowning pieces to gain energy. In solo, this means we probably will have a lot of energy. Okay, we've got ourselves a mountain explorer, which means it's going to be a city build here. Now, as Ocean, we've got this disadvantage of we can't place outside the coastline. This is probably just going to build a city in Blight, because really our priority now, we just ignore this and just do our own thing. Typically, turn 1, we want to be adding presence in an ocean. Of course, multi-spirit, you'll be adding to other people's oceans. And you don't, I mean, if you only go top track with Ocean if you just don't like winning or you hate your teammates. That's my slightly inflammatory take on that. So, Call of Deep's super useful way of just yoinking explorers from the coast. This is interesting. They're going to build a city here this turn. But this is well within Ocean's remit to deal with. We start, of course, with a good coastal defend card. So typically turn 1, you want to balance having Tidal Boon and Call of the Deeps. The great thing about Tidal Boon is that you get to push a town into the ocean and drown it for energy and fear, but you also get to push these Dahan inland. And even if the bit inland is empty, it's still worthwhile. This whole area, as Ocean, you always want a bit of help inland. So we're going to go with the most obvious way of using Call of the Deeps, but bear in mind sometimes you might want to use it to yoink an explorer from one of these lands to prevent a build chain. And there we go. So this doesn't matter where we target it in this situation. So this city build, we're just accepting this. We're moving on. Also, quick note. So notice that against Prussia 3, we've got a kind of slightly accelerated deck, and we'll have this early stage 3 card soon. TM. Okay, so this has gone in with the Blight, which is more worrying. So this might have been this would have been a high priority thing to deal with because it has the Blight already. So a Cascade is going to cost us 2 Blight instead of just the 1, whereas this one we can happily ignore. So Tidal Boon is going to give us a bit of energy and give us a town push. There's no reason to push it anywhere except into the ocean, and a Dahan push. We don't have to push here. We actually have a couple of options. If we keep it here, we can counterattack with Grasping Tide, which is a valid thing to do. But as we're on Prussia 3, I'm actually going to push these guys inland. To some degree, on lower difficulty with Ocean, this is a bit of a weird one, we almost want to encourage them to build on the coast so that we've got things to eat. Now, that could be a bit inaccurate, and here's a bit of excess drowning ability that we can't use. So as this is just not really a threat, I'm just going to leave it. Okay, next up, we do this. And this is very much the standard opening for Ocean. Always gain your power card before you do your presence shenanigans, because your power card might influence what you go with. Okay, so as Ocean, you kind of can grab almost whatever you like. You particularly like Water Earth cards to help you get this city drown here. So you'll notice that because we didn't play this turn 1, we still got it now. And if we play this, and this Water Earth card, we can drown one of these cities and eat it. That's pretty good. So what that makes me think is that I want to have a presence in here so that in the slow phase, if I play this, and this, And I would be playing this almost, it would give me a fear and a damage, but that's really, I don't care about that. Really, I want this earth water, which I say is, there are a few element combos that you're looking for, which are these, but generally the functionality is more important. If these cards help with inland, that's an even higher priority, but none of these offerings here do. So I think I'm going to pick this, and by making sure I have a presence with both of these cities, it means I'm going to have the choice of which city I use this drowning ability on. Now we have no wetland coast, so we don't have a town build incoming that we can drown. And now we could push so we're in all of these lands, and it's not always the right thing to do, in my opinion. But we haven't drafted a card that requires a sacred site, so I think for now we will just push to here. We will be playing Swallow the Land Dwellers, if anything just for the water earth elements, and so we might get a Stray Explorer in this jungle, especially as we've got the stage 3 card. But at this point, this is very much, it's all very standard. We're not having to do anything particularly weird here. So we've got all 3 of these. Notice that we don't get our Fear Innate, which is why if you can get a card that has these elements on, you're very happy. You only start with Call of the Deeps that has your Fear elements on. So that's another thing to look for. But this is fine. Okay, so we defend in here against this 3 damage Ravage. Now we are playing with events, but this should be a safe defend. Let's see what our event is. Rest this turn, buildings have +1 health. Ocean laughs at your extra health. Beasts are going to destroy an explorer, and then we get an additional Dahan to a coastal land with Dahan. Okay, that's fine. That's acceptable. Each pet adds a strife in a land with Dahan. Okay, so we didn't get a choice there. That central wetland got that. This is blighting, as we expected. I mean, at this point, was there anything we could do about that? Even if I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, I suppose we could have reached into the deck for a major power, made a sacred site for range. I mean, not worth. All the sacrifice you'd make to try and address this land would be too much. But this is quite unfortunate that this land has mountain on, because it means that this cascade is on its way. Well, that's just great, isn't it? But we've seen here, we've got sand, so we've got sand and mountain are coming up next. So we could, which is a better one to squash? Interesting. And we also have this pool beneath the hungry earth, which we can only use in here, so I guess we use it in here, huh? Well, we can use it up here, but it doesn't do as much. This is going to do a singular damage, so we'll kill this explorer. Oh no, it does 2 damage. You see how rarely I use this for the actual card. Okay, so this disease will prevent a build. Let's just completely clear this land. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then we'll swallow the land dwellers in here to eat this explorer. And this is all building up our energy reserves, which already are up to 7. You can potentially go for mages here, and it's quite on the reclaim. It's quite tempting because this is a problem because it's kind of building onto a cascade. But at this point we do have options. Reclaim isn't necessarily the right thing to do here. We might want to push presence and gaining more cards. However, we've got a decent clutch of starting cards. What can we actually achieve? Tricky. Yeah, I don't think this is a good one to push. It is this, yeah. So if this cascades, they're going to build here and then cascade. They're going to build here and cascade. Okay, yeah, this is a good build to prevent by using Call of the Deep. So we're going to need to remember this if we do reclaim. In fact, knowing we can do this makes the reclaim even more justified. So we'll do it. So when we reclaim as ocean, we do drag a presence back into the ocean. We need to make sure we keep this presence. That's important. But we also need to look at our power card first. So we could look at mage now. We can afford it. But I think I'm going to look at a minor power instead. What do we get offered? Okay, nothing that really helps us with inland. So Here There Be Monsters is literally unplayable for us. Unless we got Indomitable Claim. We like... Okay, Tormenting Rotflies might be a pick. Because it's a way of getting fear. We're not too worried about the energy cost of things. But I think this turn probably we want to make sure that we play 2 of these Water Earth cards to drown this city. Partly to get the fear deck going. Of course, whenever we drown, we destroy things, gain fear. That's kind of our win condition. This is cheap, which is also valuable. I know we're sitting on 9 now, but the second especially looking how clear the coast is, this is a particular pitfall at like mid and lower difficulty for Ocean, is that you clear your coastline and then you just got nothing. So this is a 0 cost 2 fear that might get me a town or an explorer. Reasonable. This is a 3 fear for 1 energy. This is a whole 1 more fear, but this is probably also 3 fear a proportion of the time. In fact, if we played it this turn, we could push the town that gets built into the ocean. But remember, I want to drown the city as a priority. To do that, I need to play 2 of these Water Earth cards. And we will have other town drowning, so we don't care about that this time. I'm going to go with the Rotflies. I think this is also a good pick. As with Ocean, the more players you have in the game, the broker you are. So in solo, if you play a lot of solo Ocean and then play multi-spirit, you might find yourself a bit horrified by how broke you are. Okay, so we've got our plan to drown this city. So we did deliberately leave remember, we left this city alive. We deliberately chose not to set up a counterattack in here, or to have a counterattack in there, because these Dahans started in this land. So we played 2 of these 3 cards. Pool Beneath does nothing for us. Swallow the Land Dwellers does do something for us. So that's a good pick, because this will just drown a town. Tidal Boon also is good too. If we look at the things we need for our fear innate, we want those 2 moons. Yeah, this is much for muchness. Let's just use Swallow that. We might end up eating one of our own Dahan, but it happens, you know. Okay, so Call of the Deep's here for the build prevent. So I'm kind of glad that we got to see both of the uses of Call of the Deeps. You don't always get to do this. And then we've got some pounding of ships to do. Pound, 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 pound. Local diaspora, this is fun. Okay, little rules note, people playing physical or being baffled by digital. You cannot use events to push into the ocean, okay? It's spirit powers. A spirit can push stuff into the ocean, but events, sphere cards, do not. Okay. The devs, you know, no need to thank me. So we've got local diaspora and beast prowl and forsake the barren land. Okay, interesting. So with this Dahan push, we always try and push inland. Almost, yeah, that's just so we'll probably push these Dahan from the coast. Especially in solo, right? You very rapidly run out of coastal snacks. This is actually kind of unfortunate, because we've got this Ravage here. We've only got 1 fear card. We might be looking at a cascade. And typically we take the cascade towards the coast. I think we've already discarded Cycles of Time and Tide, which is a very nice way of cleaning up our coastline if it goes bad. So I think we push... So we're going to have to push to 3 of these different lands. This is a bit gross. Okay, and our beasts are going to generate a fear if invaders are present. So I think if we push an explorer here, the beast is more likely to do something about it. And every fear matters. So this is a build that we've just taken some effort to prevent. So we'll not push in here. This is currently a 2 damage Ravage. But these Dahan are going to get pushed by the event. Mutter, mutter, mutter. I'm going to push this in here because there's a chance that this fear card will strife this city, this town, meaning that we don't have a Blight Cascade in here. And then this push, we don't want it in here because that's building a city there, which will then ravage next turn. So we push it to here. This is already blighting. But this is kind of how it is as ocean. Okay, so we can't push in here because it's blighted, and we generally don't want to push to the coast. Pushing to not have lone Dahan is generally a good thing to do in the absence of other good things to do, because there's an event that yoinks a lone Dahan, turns it into a town, which is exactly what you don't want. During the next normal build, skip the lowest numbered land matching the invader card each board. This is actively bad for us because we want coastal builds. And the lowest numbers are on the coast. Thanks, game. So we get a blight here, and this is bad ordering, but I don't think it matters because we've got no agency here. Okay, God, this is an interesting one. So we get an extra energy in card play. As we're playing single spirit in this run through, we do have the opportunity to switch this out, and probably it's the correct play, but we'll look at the board a little bit. So we've got this build happening this turn, inland, and no solution. This is a 2 blight build, and this blight card has 2 blights on it. So unfortunately, we can't do that if we want to win. However, if we did have a way of addressing this land, like a long range defend, for example, is all it would take, I would be quite tempted. It's quite a fun card. So we're going to replace it. Let's see what we get. Memory fades to dust. So at the start of each invader phase, each spirit forgets a power, destroys one of their presence. This is actually pretty good for us. So we do have to cascade from here. No, from here. So we cascade to the coast, especially as there's no presence in there. We lose nothing. Nothing is lost. Oh god, mountain again? Unbelievable. Okay, Prussia's going to throw us a bone here and so they're escalating, which is there. So we're in actual stage 2 now. So they're adding a town to land that town. Now that's great for us. We'll just eat that town. So we'll put this in here. And this is often the case with Prussia. Some spirits are going to have lands where they really want the invaders to go, and they just don't cooperate. This is exactly one of those situations. So wildfires, lands with blight in is another example. Okay, well, ocean breaks the shore here. So we've got the 3 water and earth to get this city drown. So we'll drown that city. And we could just leave these guys here and and just clear this land. We're probably going to use Grasping Tide anyway for the fear. So even if we've got nothing to defend. So I think I'll preserve my Dahan here. And we can tidal boom the town into the ocean. So look at how much energy we've got. Now, this is unfortunate that we've got mountain into mountain into mountain. That's a bit gross. So I think we might be looking for a major to solve this problem. So this is probably going major a little bit earlier than I would like to generally, but this is also beyond the scope of your average fear card to solve. A stage 3 fear card might deal with this blight cascade. But yeah, and especially as it's mountain to mountain. So we've got probably a cascade this turn and then another one next turn for the loss. So with that being the case, and no in-hand solutions, we push for a major. Now the targeting is important. As ocean, you want to make sure you've got a good amount of presence on the land. If you keep reclaiming, you'll end up barely able to target anything. So yeah, and again, as usual, we look at the card before we place the presence. This is a 6 damage ravage. There are a fair number of solutions in here in the deck, but things that will address that. These are not those. Okay then, so we're probably going to have a cascade in this mountain, and then we're going to have we've got some problems here. We do have 4 plays, and notice how empty the coastline is. We've got nothing to drown, so our element considerations now are more about what's going to generate us fear. So remember, these are our fear elements: moon, air, water, and none of these really give us the air we like. Though I guess we're probably just spamming out all these cards this turn. Ocean is rarely a spirit where you hang on to cards for future turns. And there's a nice generalization for you. Vengeance of the Dead is just 3 fast fear, which would mean another fear card. The effect, though, is somewhat lackluster. I think Tiger's Hunting is the pick, because it will just generate us some fear. It will also mean we could add some beasts to the board. We can only target it from this jungle, but that's fine. There's nothing going on in this bottom mountain anyway. So, and it also means we might be justified to make a sacred site in here. Though, yeah, we'll probably pull beneath just for the fear and damage in here. So it's probably worth leaving this explorer here so we've got something to eat. Yeah, non-ideal selection. We'll go with this. And we've got to forget something. So, given that this is happening, we've really got to find a solution. A possible solution is by just gaining fear cards to deal with it. So, I think we're going to lose one of these cards here. This moon on the tidal boon can contribute towards this very ridiculous. Look at this, 4 fear. Wow. So I think we lose Swallow the Land Dwellers. This is typically what the power you lose first. And then we get to push some presents. So remember, only go top track if you hate winning. Which is valid. If you don't want to win, that's your prerogative. And yeah, let's just go for all of these lands. It's good to keep the sacred site, though. We need to think about this. So we're probably reclaiming next turn. So it's often worth keeping the sacred because it gives you a bit more. It gives you a few more possibilities with your cards. Okay, so this turn, we just play all the cards. And actually, the Rotflies are doing more than... They're actually doing quite a lot because they're giving us this extra fear as well as what should be a good chunk of fear in here too. Yeah. But, yeah, a non-ideal turn because this is a problem. Right, so we do have a Grasping Tide and nothing to actually defend. So it's still worth targeting it somewhere sensible. Let's just put it here, because this is catastrophic if somehow damage gets in there. And then we've got Tiger's Hunting. So we'll use this as an opportunity to just put a beast somewhere where it might get in with invaders. So we have to target from this jungle. In fact, we can only target it here. Great. But we'll push it in here in case, in conjunction with a fear card, it solves some of our problems. It is possible. Okay, and then we've got Pound Chips to Splinters for another fear. 2 fear cards. We're asking a lot of our fear cards to deal with this. Okay, we've now got the option to forget a Power Destroyer presence from our Blight card. So most of the time you want to destroy presence, and whenever you're destroying presence as ocean, you pretty much always want to take it from the actual ocean, because your on-land presence is a resource. Sometimes it is handy to be able to just keep reclaiming, and that costs you your on-land presence. Okay, always weave lies. You don't always weave lies. If you've got the air elements, skipping a fear card is particularly good against Prussia and Fast Spirit. The extra damage doesn't make any difference to us. We've got a 6 damage ravage that becomes a 7 damage ravage. I guess it does mean that it's possible that we won't. I mean, I guess these 2 fear cards might have dealt with this land, and this is condemning us to not dealing with this land to some degree. But actually, if we do get to strife both of these buildings, will be this +1 damage is irrelevant, because strifed buildings or strifed strifed invaders never do anything beyond 0 damage. So yeah, this is the Weave Lies is the right thing to do, and we've got loads of energy, right? So we just pay with energy. This is a good use for this excess energy, and we do get to add a beast. So I'm tempted to actually add a beast here instead of here, even though this is inland, because we might be able to squeak a bit more fear in the fast phase. This is how desperate we're getting here. if we've got a town to destroy in the fastways with tigers hunting. You need to actually have a beast in there already, because you add a beast, gather a beast, and then do the damage. But we don't have adjacent beasts in here right now. So I'm going to add it in here. Yeah. But yeah, it's a little bit desperate. Okay, and we get to add a traps and snares wilds token to a land with Dahan. This is actually pretty good for us as Ocean. This problem here might just overshadow everything. You typically want to put your wilds tokens in lands that do not have anything in, because then that preventing the explorer going in means that that whole chain explore, build, ravage doesn't happen. Whereas if you put it in a land that already has something, then all you're doing is preventing explorer. So this is pretty good. Of course, this does work if you've got powers that like there being spirit tokens on the board, then that's a whole different story. But we have no such powers. So there might be a case, if I could have put it in this land, of putting it in this land, because this is our pressing, this is our loss, this is how we lose here. So yeah, we add it here. We do have 3 cards at Terra 2. All right, let's see. Each player removes Explorer in a town from a land with beasts, an Explorer for a land adjacent to beasts. Okay, so we beeline for this land here. If we can deal with this ravage with our fear cards, everything looks way, way, way better. And that is by far our top priority here. So we do that. Now we just need to strife this city. At Terra level 2, none of our fear cards are going to just destroy that city, especially outside of the being Dahan there. Each player adds a strife in a land with or adjacent to beasts. Invaders skip their normal explorer battle. Okay, so we did get our solution. This might seem really sketchy. This is kind of typical of the solo Ocean experience. Solo Ocean is incredibly strong, but it's a bit like Bringer in that regard. You know, it's stressful. So each player may choose a land with Dahan or adjacent to at least 3 Dahan. Invaders do not ravage there this turn. So we actually drew another solution in this case. So I'm actually going to plonk it in here so that our strife token, we keep our strife token. Pretty good. Because that means that we only have to deal with a town next turn. Okay, we got lucky. So, Coastal Lands Explorer is great. We love this. Right. So now we've got our slow phase. We've got some town drowning, but no towns to drown. We've got some pull beneath the hungry earthing to do. This has a disease token. It's not going to build useful buildings for us to eat. So it's tempting to just pull beneath this anyway. This town drown is irrelevant. And then we've got some rot flies to do, which we'll just do somewhere for the fear. If you look at our cards, we're pretty close to Terra level 3, and there's only 1 city here. Now, at Terra level 3, your fear cards might destroy a city. So yeah, so we just maximize fear here. I mean, I often forget that you can use this to add disease, but the land we really want to disease is this one. And this Coastal Lands is a huge reprieve as well, because it's just given us a turn where the invaders are showing up where we're strong. So thanks for the help, game. So we'll just go in here for the 3 fear. And pull beneath in here. So because this card here is so great for fear generation, we're going to be playing this next turn anyway. And we'll probably just yoink these explorers. Maybe we won't actually. We might not do that. Just to maximize our fear generation. Here we've got some useless town drowning. Okay, so this Ravage has a Strife on. Outside of one event that removes a Strife, this is fine. So, yeah. It's fine. So what about our win condition? We are 12 fear away from winning. We do have the capacity to generate quite a large amount of fear. What I'm now thinking about is, do we think about grabbing a major power to finish it this round, potentially? Or do we just keep on with the minor powers? We've only got 6 cards. And we've got 4 plays, so we might be kind of committing to dual reclaiming if we do go with not grabbing powers. But our coastline is fine. We probably only need like this presence and maybe this presence to have, you know, decent targeting inland. The trouble with the double reclaim is we don't get up to 5 plays, which means we're less likely to get pound ships to splinters at top tier. But a good major used twice, it could be a pretty big deal. Trouble is, if we pick a major, instead of having 7 cards, we'll have 6. There you go. Any other math-based questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Yeah, we'll grab a major. Tormenting Rotflies is basically for fear, because it gives us this useful air. I wonder if we can't quite get pound ships to splinters. I'm still thinking that minor power might be better. If we take the major, we're kind of committing to reclaiming. We probably want to keep Grasping Tide because it's just some fast fear. We're probably going to be getting rid of Pull Beneath. No, we're probably getting rid of Tidal Boon, actually. Because Pull has the useful fear elements and does generate a fear itself. Yeah, okay, let's gain a major power. What do we got here? Tsunami is a strange power in that it's actually not that good for Ocean. Easy to get the threshold. But it's helping you where you're already strong. Trees and Stone Speaker War is generally pretty good because it's support inland. Anything that helps you inland is great. What about Death Falls gently from Open Blossoms? Hold on. We do not have the 3rd plant to get this extra 3 fear, but the fact that it costs 4 energy for 4 damage is fine. We don't have anything that targets this mountain, because, so bear in mind, we're also at terror level 3, so we win if we destroy this last mountain. Sorry, this last city. There'll be no destroying mountains here. Pillar of Living Fame could reach that mountain. The Coastal Lands build is not going to add a city. Yeah, this is actually a win. This is a win condition. So we're gonna inexplicably become very flamey. We're going to go with the planned getting rid of the Tidal Boon. So for a lot of spirits, this is horrible off element. But given that we are so ridiculously wealthy, it's fine. So we do gather in. Now, this does need a sacred site. Targeting with Ocean is generally, it's like a fairly straightforward puzzle. But it's still, you can still make mistakes if you really put your mind to it. Okay, so we'll go with this for fear elements. Now remember, we are playing with events, so this planned win might not necessarily pan out exactly how we expect. Grasping Tide, actually there is a Ravage in here. And a 3rd water will be an additional fear, but Tiger's Hunting itself eats 2 fear. This is a lot of slow fear. We're looking to win in the slow phase anyway. This is a 4 fear card for 1 energy. And notice we've got very little drowning going on now. If we let these guys build, we can drown them in the slow phase. To get our innate drown, we need a bit more earth going on. So pick this, which would gain us 2 fear. Yeah, possibly a meaningless decision. So we'll allow them to build in here, and we'll just do this because this is 4 fear. Not the most precise ending. So as we don't have drowning, we'll just prevent those builds. And Grasping Tide in here, just in case something gets pushed in here. I am a bit superstitious about events because I've very deliberately not gone through them and tried to memorize them. Okay, memory fades to dust. We will just probably destroy one of these presents over here. See what our event is. And more opportunity to destroy our own presents. But the crucial thing is that this is not one of the events that means that an extra city is appearing out of nowhere. Like, for example, I think there's an event that could plonk a city in here by converting one of those towns to a city. We've not had that one. So let's just take a blight from the card. Okay, each player removes an explorer or a town from a land with presence or a city from a land with sacred sites. Well, that's not applicable. Thanks, fear card. So, we are strife from our fear card dealt with that mountain. If we hadn't got that, we would probably have lost here. I know that I took a blight from the card. We would still be eking through on one blight, I guess. Okay, so Prussia's going to add a town. We don't really care. Let's put it up here because we want to hang on to this presence forever. But now when we destroy the city, it should be all over. All of it. Okay, so as usual with these videos, thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe. I meant to say that because I'm on YouTube. If you have any questions about the playthrough or specific moments, please use a timestamp. I try and answer everything, but if there's no timestamp, I've got a lot of videos and a very short memory. But a timestamp means I can kind of go, oh yeah, okay, right, here we are, this is the point. So like any kind of like, oh, at this point in turn 3, you know, you're wasting your time. But anyway, that's a mid-difficulty over-explain attempt. We have, so let me know feedbacky type stuff as well, and I'll, you know, probably keep making these unless they bomb, in which case I won't. All right, bye.